Good morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful rainy morning. It's Thursday and we need the rain for sure, right? I think I saw last we were normally get 5 months of 5 inches of rain in June, and the year we've only received like 2 or 2.5. So this is welcomed rain, flowers, and hopefully for your flowers and gardens as well. Welcomed rain. So I'm going to read the end of John 13. Good morning, Brother Kassan. God bless you. You're probably exhausted from a long day of ministry, delivering food to the Christians in Bethlehem. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. Good morning, Joanne. Margie, good morning. Joyce, good morning. So we're reading in John chapter 13 today. And we'll start, of course, with the Shema. I am peeling everywhere. We'll start with the Shema. Good morning, Nick. And from the Shema, we'll go to the end of John chapter 13. So, yes, we're so thankful for what you're doing, and know that people are being fed and housed, and their needs are being met because of the work of Bread of Hope Bethlehem. So thank you so much, Kassan. So let's start with Deuteronomy chapter 6. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Eileen and Jim. Good morning, Deb. Good morning, Rick. Yep, it's going to be a great day. Jackie, good morning. So let's begin with the Shema and then right to John chapter 13. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the doorframes of your houses and on your gates. Amen. Just a short reading this morning. When he, Judas, was gone, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself and will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come. A new command I give you. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." Simon Peter asked him, "Lord, where are you going?" And Jesus replied, "Where I am going, you cannot follow. You cannot follow now, but you will follow later." Peter asked, "Lord, why can't I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Then Jesus answered, "Will you really lay down your life for me? Very truly, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. What a passage. Good morning, Tanya. Tanya, just want to remind you, July 18th is water baptism at the park. So super excited about that. All right, so here's a funny kind of lots of stuff in my head right now, but I want to tell you something I think is funny. So, good morning, Kimberly. As I'm reading this, Jesus is like giving this beautiful new command. A new command I give you, right? Love one another as I've loved you, right? He starts off, "I'm going somewhere you cannot come. I told the Jews, I'm going to tell you now, love one another. By this, everyone's going to know your disciples." And Simon Peter doesn't talk about Simon Peter. I love this guy. Simon Peter's like, "Lord, where are you going?" Right? Here Jesus says, "I give you a brand new command." And Peter's like, "Hey, where are you going? I need to go there too," right? So it's so funny. He kind of misses it seems like he misses the whole point. And Kimberly, Eben, good morning. And I think this is true for people. If you're a public speaker or if you're in any kind of management where you're speaking to people, they may not catch everything. That's what I guess I'm trying to say. And so they get caught in something and then don't follow the rest of the conversation. And so So he's like, I'm telling you, I told the Jude, I'm going to tell you, you can't go where I'm going. Here's a new command I give you. Simon Peter, where are you going? So I think that's really funny and encouraging. When I speak publicly or when I teach, and people are like, I don't remember, you didn't say this, but you said this. And it's nothing even close to what I said. I mean, it had nothing to do with the topic whatsoever. But whatever, they heard it somehow or they got caught up in it. So I was I was practicing with a message for Sunday with Jeff, and Jeff's like, nope, that illustration at the beginning, I had this great illustration at the beginning, but I knew it wasn't great. I just thought it was great. But in my heart, I knew it was bad. And he's like, no one's going to get past your illustration. They'll get caught up in the illustration, so much so that they won't listen to anything else I say. So anyway, that just reminds me of that. So I'm thinking about that as I communicate, right? So to walk with people through communication, not just tell us. The learning lesson is don't just blurt out everything, walk people through it. And Jesus does that with Peter here, because he goes back to this, right? He answers Peter. Here's what's cool about Jesus in this setting. He answers Peter's question, but then goes on further in 14 and 15 to dive deeper into love. So what's so cool is he doesn't just let this derail the conversation, but he doesn't ignore Peter at the same time. He acknowledges Peter's question and meets Peter where he is. So this is another thing I think is important in leadership with your kids. You're telling them all these things and they're caught on this part. Fine, good, that's okay. Answer the part they're caught up on. Stay there for a little bit and talk to them about that, even though that's not your big idea, not your big point, not what you're really trying to give them, but that's where they are. That's where you need to be as well. So kind of a lesson learning from me there. And then 34 and 35. A new command I give you, love one another. How is that new? Now that seems interesting because I think it's in Leviticus 19 where in the Torah it says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But Jesus isn't saying that. Notice how it's different. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. Now he has upped the ante. He hasn't changed the Torah, but he's explained what Torah means, right? How is that? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Okay, now he's making it even more powerful. Love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. So now I'm not loving my neighbor as I love myself. I'm loving everyone as Christ has loved me. How has Christ loved me? By this, everyone will know that you're my disciples if you love one another. So the first place that I find that kind of true love, well, what Jesus is saying here, right? He waits until Judas is gone. That's interesting. And then he's talking about his disciples, how they should love each other as Christ loved, right? So I think there's like an initial relationship that if the church doesn't know how to love each other, if fellow believers in Jesus don't know how to love each other, how in the world will the world ever trust us to really love? If they don't see me loving the people who believe like me, right? They don't see me loving the people I worship with. How or why would they ever want to how would they ever want to join that kind of dysfunction? I mean, I wouldn't want to join that kind of dysfunction. That sounds horrible. In fighting, infighting, and gossip, and taking sides and divisions, and people walk in the church and they see that and they said, ugh, and this is the church? Why would I want to stay in this? It's a mess. My family's dysfunctional enough. Why do I want to go to a new family with more dysfunction? I get it. Every family, lots of families have dysfunction. So people are looking for a place where they can feel accepted, they can feel belonging, and they can feel security. People long for those three things. Shout out to Ben Kahn for that. Acceptance, belonging, security. And if you can't offer those things, then people will look for it somewhere else. And so why, why are gangs so prevalent? One reason is their families are so dysfunctional. They're looking for some place they can find acceptance, belonging, and security. And they found that in gangs. I remember hearing a story from Francis Chan of a young girl who got baptized, and she had just left a gang and was in the church, and she got baptized. And it was months later, and she quit the church, just left. And he said, why'd you quit the church? And she said, I thought I was joining a family, and it wasn't a family. So she went back to the gang where she found acceptance, belonging, and security. She ended up joining what? And when she went to that church, and by the way, he probably had an amazing church, right? But she thought it was some place that people were going to love her, and people were going to accept her, and people were going to take her under their wing, and people were going to do life with her, have lunch with her, walk with her in her darkness and in her light, right? And instead, she found some kind of more corporate environment. And so this longs for us to answer these questions. How am I loving? How am I loving? And I guess I can't answer that until I know, how has Christ loved me? How has Christ loved me? Sacrificially. He's loved me selflessly. He's loved me unconditionally. So how are we loving? How am I being loved? So if I can't accept God's love for me, it's always, maybe I have a conditional view of God's love. Oh, I better do everything right or God's not going to love me. I know a lot of people who have that kind of idea. I have to perform for God. I have to really do it all right, or God's not going to have his love. All his love is conditional. No, his love's not conditional for you. And if I can have this unconditional love from God, that doesn't mean, right, that he just accepts everything we do. I'm not saying that. It's not about acceptance. We have all these words confused. God has unconditional love and support for you, for his glory, for your best. For his glory, for your best. Now, sometimes that love looks like discipline, right? Sometimes love looks like discipline, of course. I'm not saying any of that, but it's not conditional. And it's not, so it's not conditional. So we have this unconditional, selfless, sacrificial love from God. And can I accept that? And if I can accept that, how would I need to give that love one another as I have loved you? So you love. Dave, I see your frowny face, but I know you do such a wonderful job in your church in Phnom Penh. You just have, I watch over and over again how you have demonstrated what I'm talking about here with the Cambodian people. Just love them and love the people who don't know Jesus, people who know Jesus, but you've created an environment where families really love each other. And it's really beautiful. So we're just praying for you, and just so grateful that you're there doing the mission work in Phnom Penh. This is love, right? As I have loved you, love one another. And there's so much division, and there's so much, so this is a good message for me. By this, everyone will know you're my disciples if you love one another. So it starts in the church, and then they want to see it and love. I want him to be proud of me and my actions. Kimberly, he loves you so much, right? You're the apple of his eye. That's it, right? Yeah, I get it. Like, we want to try to prove ourselves, but he loved you while you were still a sinner, right? He loved you while you were still a sinner. So I think that's the catch, right? What am I doing it for? Where's the motivation? That's a good question. Yeah. What's the motivation? And think of, I guess, with the relationship with a husband and wife. What's the motivation? Why do I serve Shauna? Why does Shauna serve me? I think because we love each other, not because of obligation and expectation. Wouldn't that be terrible? But because of a heart of love and a foundation of love. So the service and the kindness and the sweet, whatever we do for each other, towards each other, is comes out of my love for her, not because of my obligation or expectation. A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. That's a good word, and not an easy word. Not an easy word, right? Now let's pair this with what is happening. Jesus says, "I'm going to a place you cannot go." Peter says, "Yeah, but Lord, I'll lay my life down for you," right? He's saying, I'm truly following you. I'm really going to love you. Jesus says, "Will you truly lay your life down for me? I will tell you the truth. The rooster will crow, you'll disown me 3 times." And what is so interesting, right? Because the pair is that he is telling them this. He is telling them this about love and about where he's going they can't follow. And he knows, number one, one's already betrayed him. And he knows, number two, that Peter's also going to betray him. And yet he loves him. And yet he loves him. And he's still going to lay down his life for him. Right? Isn't that amazing? Jesus said, "I'm going to go lay down my life. I'm going to give up my life for your sin." And yes, hey, by the way, Simon Peter, best friend, you're going to betray me. And I still love you. So good. And I need God's help today to love. He has loved me. Our Father who is in heaven, holy is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sin as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. And I think my meditation for this morning is, I am loved by God. 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 Wow, it's good to hear. I need to say that over and over today. Have a fantastic Thursday. Bye-bye.